Of the Johannesburg-based think tank Afro-Middle East Centre. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to you. So the headlines are saying an historic move by Hamas. Are we blowing this out of proportion? Should we follow Netanyahu's line that we're being fooled by Hamas?
Well, I don't. I think it's being made more of than it actually is. Number one, but I don't think that Hamas is trying to deceive anyone. I think that what they're saying in the new document that was released last night is essentially what has been the practice over the past decade and a half. So they're moving away from the old charter from the late 1980s, which was, by any kind of analysis, highly problematic, even for people within Hamas. And they finally got around to changing that, bringing a vision document and a strategy document that's more in line with what they actually believe than what was there. I don't think that it's taking a softer position on Israel. It's also not saying that it's accepting a two-state solution, which the headlines seem to suggest.
So what is it saying then? I mean, if you're saying that this isn't terribly new, is it just officializing things that we've observed in practice? And break it down for us. First of all, who is Hamas and why are they important in this equation anyway?
Well, Hamas is the largest Palestinian organization, largest political party. They won the last parliamentary election that was held in the Palestinian territories in 2006. At the moment, they, for various reasons, Israel and Palestinian Authority, etc., they control only Gaza, despite having won those elections. And Gaza is under complete siege, of course. Much of its leadership is outside the country. And Khalid Mishal, who spoke to the new document, is based in Qatar. So what's important about the document is, I think the most important thing is a move away from a kind of heavy religious rhetoric and a religious understanding about Palestine. So the previous charter, for example, said that Palestine is an Islamic endowment. This one is saying that Palestine is a land that belongs to Arab Palestinian people. Okay, so it's very much more of a nationalist document than the previous one was, while still saying that the reference point for the movement is Islam. So I think that's an important point. So in terms of that as well, they're saying that the activities essentially are located within Palestine, and they're not interested in things outside of Palestine, in a sense. Right? So that's the important thing. The other one is that they maintaining the position about the right of return of refugees, that all Palestinian refugees have, as they say, a natural right and a right under international law to return to their homes, whether those homes are in lands occupied by Israel, as they call it, in 1948 or in 1967. So the whole of Palestine, including what is Israel. They're saying that the entire Palestine must be liberated, which has always been the position. So even that part which is called Israel now should be part of a future Palestinian state. But they're saying that it seems that the national consensus among Palestinians is to be willing to accept a state, a sovereign state at the moment, which is along the 1967 borders. And so they're going along with that.
Do they still, are they still at odds with the right of existence for Israel?
Yes, I mean that's my reading of it.
All right.
So they're not saying that they're struggling for the destruction of Israel, not in that language, but they're saying that the whole of Palestine must be liberated. That the Zionist project is the problem. So there's a very strong move away from this notion of Jews being the problem to what they're calling the Zionist project and Zionist entity, referring to Israel. And so essentially they're saying that the problem, which is the Zionist entity, as they say, needs to be replaced by a liberated Palestinian state wherein all people have equality, etc.
Will this help the image of Hamas, because many countries even to this day regard it a terrorist organization? This finessing of their stance and how they want to be viewed, is that going to help with the international community? I would imagine US and Israel, it's business as usual. But what about the rest of the world?
I think it will help to an extent, and that is that the previous charter could easily be, and not easily be, was really in some of its clauses anti-Semitic. And so this charter removes that kind of angle and actually emphasizes the notion that this is not against Jews, it's against Zionists, etc. So from that perspective, yes. From the political angle, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. I also don't think that Hamas spent the past 2 years reworking this document in order to placate Israel or the West. They did it really for their own membership and for their own clarity of vision, and because, frankly, many of its leaders felt that the previous charter was highly problematic. So they've redone it in a way that is acceptable to their membership and provides new direction to their membership. If we think of the quartet, the US, Russia, UN and the UK, and the conditions they put on the table for talking to Hamas, one, recognition of the Israeli state, which the new document doesn't do. Two, renouncing violence, which the new document emphasizes that the armed struggle is very much part of their strategy. And three, accepting all the agreements that come out of Oslo, and they are saying that they're rejecting those.
Okay, so for Israel, it's business as usual. Donald Trump's a new president. He's got a Jewish son-in-law and daughter now. He has to try and navigate his way through this Middle East question. He's hinted about supporting the state of Palestine, existing, so on and so forth. How does he interpret this document?
You know, I don't think that he's going to be too interested in this document. I mean, the reality, Peter, is that, forget Hamas. If we look at the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, Mahmoud Abbas, who's bent over backwards and done all kinds of gymnastics in order to be acceptable to the Israelis, has renounced completely any notion of an armed struggle and wants to negotiate and even compromise with the Israelis. And the Israelis have slapped him on his face, right? So the Israelis are really not interested, certainly not the current government, not interested in talking to Palestinians at all. From Trump's perspective, what he wants is he wants a deal. He's not really interested what the deal says, as long as he can get a deal. I mean, he made that quite clear. He's not interested in one state, two state, as long as I can get them to agree, you know. So he's going to try now. I mean, I don't think he's interested in Hamas and its new document. He's going to try and convince Abbas and Netanyahu to sit together and talk. Abbas has made it clear that he's willing to do that anytime, any place. Netanyahu has made it clear that he's not interested. I think, however, that at other levels of the American government, in the State Department, for example, but also the Pentagon, the CIA, etc., that the new document from Hamas will be looked at much more carefully to see where there's openings and spaces for even back-channel discussions around where it's going to go.
We're running out of time, but very quickly, inside the Palestinian territories, what does this new order mean?
Not too much.
Okay.
As I say, the reality is that it's putting on paper what has already existed for the past 15 years. All right,
Naeem, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts and your insights on what people are billing as an historic move by Hamas. But when you look at it, perhaps not so revolutionary, but finessing some already existing thoughts. And that's all we'll leave at the time being.